Rob Thummel joins us from Tortoise, Senior Portfolio Manager, and Tom's here in studio looking at some options. Welcome back to the show, Rob. Tell me about AI infrastructure. Is this the data center? Is this the utility, the electricity side of it? What catches your attention?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So everybody thinks about AI and they think NVIDIA. But what we think about at Tortoise is the other side is for AI infrastructure, you need power, right? You need consistent, steady power. So that's the side that we think that's really exciting. It's really not been reflected in terms of valuation. So energy infrastructure, so things like natural gas pipelines operated by companies like Williams and Kinder Morgan that provide the fuel that provides the electricity that's very consistent, that's very steady. That extends obviously also into the power producers. You're going to need a lot of additional electricity over the next several years if you look at the forecasts in order to power this big AI boom that's going to be happening really for the next several decades.
Okay. Some of these trades have been kind of catching attention too of the market participants, particularly the utilities. I've heard a lot of narrative around that. Does that make sense to you, or is that category going to just be driven by rates still?
Well, rates have a big impact, but as you highlight, what the big difference here is what AI has done is introduced a level of growth, a new level of growth to really a lot of the energy sector, including energy infrastructure and utilities, as you highlight. So just take for example what's happening in Northern Virginia, where all of the data, a lot of the data centers are. You're going to see potentially up to 5 to 6% growth on an annual basis in electricity demand in Northern Virginia, predominantly because of AI. 5 years ago, that growth was like 1%. So this is just starting to catch up. You're just starting to see the impact. You'll start to see it in earnings here in the next several years. And that will be a positive, we think, for utility stocks, as well as, and more importantly, for energy infrastructure stocks going forward.
Okay. Give me some favorites. I know there's a few, at least when I look at some of your top holdings, I see a good bit of energy in there. Is that kind of the way to think about this? Because there's kind of some old school energy in here too. I mean, there's a lot of like kind of energy, oil, pipeline centered stuff.
There are a few oil pipelines. In our Tortoise Energy Infrastructure Fund, predominantly we focus on natural gas infrastructure. We have some oil pipelines as well, but the natural gas pipelines are what we really like to see. We like to say there's no AI without EI. So there's no artificial intelligence without energy infrastructure. So you'll see names that I mentioned earlier, Williams and Kinder Morgan, but you'll also see companies like Targa Resources, Cheniere Energy, Energy Transfer. These are all really high yielding securities, basically, that offer investors a significant amount of yield with some growth to them as well. And then going forward, we think that they're going to have long-term growth trajectories tied to not only just increased exports of liquefied natural gas out of the U.S., but also increased demand for natural gas as a result of needing consistent, steady power to really power these and fuel this AI, these AI factories that are really being built across the U.S.
So the yield's a good part of that strategy, right? It's a big part of it for sure. Just price principal appreciation on the year, TORIX up about 11%. I guess if you include the dividends, there'd be an addition on top of that. So it seems like performance-wise, this gets somewhere where it's like better than energy. Like you're crushing the energy in the industrial complex in terms of performance, but it's not going to be like the high-flying tech stuff. So how does it fit into someone's strategy in their portfolio? Like, should they think about it as being like a cyclical alternative to like just being in like pure cyclical groups?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So yeah, it's not going to fly like tech stuff, but these energy stocks have big economic moats. Infrastructure stocks have these big economic moats that Warren Buffett always talks about. It's really difficult to build new pipelines anywhere in the world. So the value of existing pipelines and the U.S. pipeline infrastructure network, we think, is worth even more. And so where does it fit? It fits for investors looking for income, right? I think a lot of investors today and in the future are looking for high income, and this is where you can get some income, some growth. But you don't have to really worry about rates going up or down typically, because you've got an equity, and that equity is probably going to appreciate in value over time with either the broad equity market or just the fundamentals in this sector that still support significantly higher valuations, driven by increased demand and growth in the underlying volumes that are going through these pipelines as the U.S. continues to be the largest energy producer in the world and the largest exporter of energy in the world as well.
All right, good stuff, Rob. Really interesting approach. Appreciate the thoughts here. Good platform for us to do some trading. Got some good ideas in there. Rob Thummel, Senior Portfolio Manager at Tortoise.